I just recently returned from Denmark and on the island of Samso. I was leading a group of students over there for a 3-week experience, and we were going over there because it was a carbon negative island. Amazing, right? Carbon negative. And they became carbon negative in 2007, right? Using currently available technology. And as we were leaving the island, I was standing on the deck of the ferry and I was talking to a student. And I said, so, what'd you learn? And he looked back at me and he thought for a moment and he said, I thought we were going to come here and it was going to be some incredible technological revelation. And what he really learned was it wasn't about the technology. We have the technology. What he learned that climate change is a social problem, and you need the commitment of the people to make it happen. Essentially, it's an issue of perspective. Now, some of you may be familiar with this. It's the business model canvas. For those of you who are entrepreneurs, yeah, people love it, right? You get it, you put your whole business down on one sheet of paper, and you go, and you implement. And that is what it's all about. Unfortunately, I think folks oftentimes fail to ask, where am I going, right? And this can lead to a few problems. And here to help us understand what some of these consequences is Biscuit, the sleepwalking dog. I know. Poor Biscuit. I mean, that's terrible. If you don't know where you're going, though, that's what happens to you. You run into walls. And unfortunately, this has played out all over the world. And what has happened is you have taken places like this and turned them into something that looks like this. And this is the tar sands up in Canada. And to give you an idea of the sense of size and scale of this, that right down there is a car that you see, a full-size pickup truck next to an enormous mining vehicle. So this is, going as far as you can see. Now, of course, no one in this room would ever do something like that. And that's not so much what I'm interested in. But what I'm interested in is how do you redefine the pathways and maximize the impact of doing good out there in the world? And so if I said to you, hey, let's look at alternative transportation, what can we do to encourage that? Here's one answer, right? This is in New York City. It's a bike path, right? And so aside avoiding the office chair, taxi cabs, and any other doors coming out at you, it's a little bit like a death trap, but it's for bicyclists. So that is one way that you could look at alternative transportation. The other is this, and this is a picture of the bike highway that's being proposed in London, right? And what changes these things is it's about perspective. Now, an abundant perspective, we hear these terms thrown around like sustainability, triple bottom line, people, profit, planet, and all of these things, but no one ever talks about what are we really talking about here? What do you need to make an abundant perspective? On the people side, you're asking, how are we improving the place where we work? What are we doing to build our community or to solve social issues? On the planet side, what you're talking about here is reducing waste. Or even better, using waste as a resource or being regenerative, actually improving the environment by your endeavors. Now, when this is all working really well together, what you do on the enterprise side is you are reducing risk, cutting costs, growing sales, finding new markets. And when these things all work together, it can be a virtuous cycle, where you have one thing going on and you're solving a social issue and that's helping you open up a new market, which is helping you solve the social issue even more, and the same happens with the environment. Now, what you need to do, and I should be clear here first, is that when I talk about enterprise, I am talking about little teeny tiny startups, big giant multinational corporations, for-profit, non-profit, the whole Megillah. Now, what you need to figure out is once you have this perspective, what do you do with it? How do I apply it to what I'm trying to get done in the world? And so what you're doing here is, in this diagram, what it does is it breaks down any organization or enterprise into its various components. And what happens is every organization has certain things they're good at, most likely one or two of these. Now, just to go through them really quickly, at inbound, you're getting stuff in. Operations, following around here, you're turning the things you got in into something. You get it out in outbound, you distribute it out to people. You have marketing, and we're all familiar with that. You have some sort of service that you're providing after the sale. And then what we've done here, and those are all pretty standard in the business world, but what we've done is added in this other one called unsold production. And so what usually happens is people make stuff, and there's a bunch of waste that we have, and you just get rid of it. But with unsold production, what you're doing is you're saying, wait, I'm not producing waste, I'm producing stuff I can't sell. Right? It's a whole different way of looking at waste. And suddenly when you start to think about it like that, you start to find new value in it. And so you're running all of these things through that abundant perspective that we're talking about, and it looks something like this. Now, I want to give you a quick example of just how powerful this can be. Most of you are probably familiar with the iPhone 6 that just came out, right? The amazing, incredible Apple Pay that you just go and whoosh, you can pay for something right away. Well, in fact, let me take you to the place where the idea of mobile money really got started and really caught on. And this happened back in 2007, right when the first iPhone was coming out. So the area of this major technological innovation isn't Silicon Valley, it's right here, in a boutique in Kenya. Now, what happened, like most people who start an enterprise or a nonprofit, folks were trying to fix a problem. In Kenya, it so happens there's about one ATM for about every 18,000 people. So in Portland proper, you'd have 4 for the entire city, and some very long lines, right? And in addition to one ATM for every 18,000 people, about 75% of the people living in sub-Saharan Africa are unbanked. That means they have no bank. Their money is either going in the mattress or it's going somewhere else. The infrastructure doesn't exist. It can be really dangerous, obviously, if you have a lot of money. Also, going to the bank is a total hassle. It can take all day. So there are really high transaction costs that are a burden on people. And so what this company did was they said, we don't have this infrastructure that everyone thinks that you need for a bank, but here's what people do have. They have cell phones. They have flip phones. And this company is called Mpesa. And what they did was they came up with a way that people could send money, withdraw money, buy airtime, take care of all their transactions between individuals as well as between individuals and businesses. And the opportunities this opened up by lowering those transaction costs were enormous. And in fact, today, M-Pesa's annualized transactions account for about 25% of Kenya's GDP. Right? That is amazing, especially when you look at what's going on here. Now, you may have noticed there were 2 little circles right up there, that little house up on the upper left-hand corner for micro enterprise and that base of the pyramid. And so what these are the tactics. There's about a dozen or so tactics we've identified that companies are using worldwide. And so what you do is you take those tactics and you look at those areas of strength that you have in your business and say, what would it be like if we did this as a micro enterprise? Or what would it be like if we reformed our business and we're working at the base of the pyramid? Or in all these other areas. Now, we don't have time to go into that, but I want to really quickly give you the 5-step process that we've kind of been reviewing in this talk. So first of all, what are you doing? Why do you exist? What's your purpose? Know what your competitive strengths are and work with those, because those are the areas that you have the most impact. Use those tactics that I just showed you to figure out how you can change the equation. And then internally, you want to talk in your own language and get rid of some of those barriers that exist when you're trying to use the language of other people. And then measure, report, and repeat, just like we were talking about with the broken eggs. Learn from your mistakes and keep going. And so to help you avoid ending up like Biscuit and running into those walls, we've created a canvas here so you can actually go out and think about what you're going to do before you do it and get out there and create some abundance. Thank you.